What if I told you that the fastest way to get her back isn't chasing her, texting her, or trying to convince her you've changed, but doing the exact opposite of what every instinct in your body is telling you to do right now? Stay with me, because what you're about to learn will completely change how you understand breakups and human psychology.
She's gone.
Maybe she ended it last week. Maybe it's been a month. Maybe she said she needs space, needs time to think, needs to figure herself out. And you're sitting there, phone in hand, scrolling through old photos, rereading her last messages, analyzing every word she said during the breakup, trying to decode what it all means. Your chest feels tight. You can't sleep properly. You keep checking your phone, hoping to see her name pop up. You've drafted 100 messages you haven't sent. You've imagined 1,000 scenarios where you run into her and say exactly the right thing that makes her realize she made a mistake. Every fiber of your being is screaming at you to reach out, to explain,
To apologize.
to remind her of the good times, to promise you'll change, to do something, anything, to stop this unbearable feeling of losing her. And here's the brutal truth. If you follow those instincts, you'll push her further away. Because what most men don't understand is that attraction and reconnection don't work logically. They work psychologically. And right now, your desperate energy, even if you haven't expressed it, is the exact opposite of what creates the conditions for her to miss you and want you back. Before we dive into what you need to do, you need to understand something fundamental about human psychology and desire. People don't want what they can easily have. They want what feels scarce, valuable, and just slightly out of reach. When you're chasing, pleading, or making yourself constantly available, you're communicating low value. Not because you are low value, but because your behavior is signaling desperation, neediness, and that your entire emotional state depends on her decision. And desperation is the most unattractive energy in existence. Here's what happens at her psychology when you chase. She feels relieved that you still want her, which removes any urgency for her to reconsider. She feels pressure, which makes her want to create more distance. And she loses respect for you because you're not respecting yourself or the boundaries she set. But when you go completely silent, when you accept her decision with dignity and disappear from her emotional radar, something fascinating happens. The absence you create becomes a void she starts to feel. The validation she was getting from knowing you still wanted her disappears. The mental closure she thought she had becomes uncertain. And most importantly, you become a mystery again. Psychologists call this the scarcity principle combined with psychological reactance. When something we had access to becomes unavailable, our minds automatically assign it more value and desire it more. So, let's break down exactly what you need to do to create the psychological conditions for her to come back. Step number 1. Complete radio silence, no exceptions. This is non-negotiable, and it's where most men fail immediately. No texting. No calling. No liking her social media posts. No accidentally running into her. No reaching out on her birthday or holidays. No sending articles or songs that remind you of her. No asking mutual friends about her.
Complete.
Radio. Silence. I know what you're thinking. But won't she think I don't care? Won't she move on if I don't stay in contact? Here's the psychological reality. If she's going to come back, it will be because she misses you and realizes what she lost. That realization can only happen in your absence. When you maintain contact, even friendly, casual contact, you're preventing her from experiencing the loss. You're still there, still available, still orbiting her life. There's no void to feel, no absence to miss. But when you go completely silent, her brain starts working overtime. Why hasn't he reached out? Is he really okay with this? Has he moved on already? Did I make a mistake? Was he not as invested as I thought? These questions create psychological tension that keeps you in her mind far more effectively than any text message ever could. Let me give you a real example. My client Marcus came to me after his girlfriend of 3 years ended things. For 2 weeks, he texted her every day, apologizing, explaining, trying to have one more conversation. She responded occasionally, always politely, always vague. I told him to stop completely. He didn't believe it would work, but he committed. 3 weeks of absolute silence. No contact whatsoever. On day 22, she texted him, "I've been thinking about us. Can we talk?" But silence alone isn't enough. The next step is what separates men who get their ex back from those who don't. Step number 2, become genuinely unavailable. Focus on yourself. Here's where most men mess up the no-contact strategy. They go silent, but they're still emotionally frozen, waiting for her to come back, checking their phone constantly, living in suspended animation. That's not true unavailability. That's just quiet desperation. Real unavailability means you redirect all the emotional energy you were investing in a relationship into yourself. Your goals, your growth, your life. Hit the gym with actual commitment. Not to make her jealous, to genuinely improve yourself. Reconnect with friends you've been neglecting. Dive into hobbies or projects you've been putting off. Focus on your career or business with renewed intensity. And here's the critical part. Do things that make you genuinely happy and fulfilled, independent of whether she comes back or not. Why does this matter psychologically? Because when you're genuinely focused on your own growth and happiness, it shows. Your energy changes. Your social media, if you use it, reflects a life that's moving forward. Mutual friends notice the difference. And most importantly, if she does reach out, you're not the same desperate, emotionally dependent version of yourself she left. You've become someone who's thriving without her. And that shift in your energy is magnetically attractive because it contradicts everything she expected. She expected you to fall apart, to need her, to beg for her back. Instead, you're living your best life. This creates what psychologists call cognitive dissonance. Her mental model of you doesn't match the reality she's seeing, and that disconnect makes her curious, intrigued, and often regretful. Have you ever noticed how the moment you genuinely stop caring about an outcome is when it suddenly becomes more likely to happen? Drop a comment about a time you experienced this in your own life. But there's a third element that's absolutely crucial. Step number 3. Actually process the relationship. Do the internal work. This is the step most men skip, and it's why they often end up in the same toxic cycle even if she does come back. Use this time apart to genuinely examine the relationship with honesty. What were the real issues? Not the surface-level complaints she gave during the breakup, but the deeper patterns that created disconnect. Were you too available, too agreeable, lacking your own purpose? Were you neglecting her emotional needs? Were there communication patterns that created resentment? Were there fundamental incompatibilities you were ignoring? And critically, what do you actually want? Are you trying to get her back because you genuinely believe the relationship is worth saving, or because your ego is hurt and you can't accept rejection? This internal work serves 2 purposes. First, it makes you a genuinely better partner if she does come back. The relationship won't work long-term if you're just recreating the same dynamics that led to the breakup. Second, it gives you clarity and power. You're no longer operating from a place of desperate need. You're operating from a place of conscious choice. And here's what's psychologically powerful about this. When you've done genuine internal work, it shows in how you carry yourself. You're no longer needy or attached to a specific outcome. You're grounded, clear, and emotionally healthy. That energy is incredibly attractive because it's rare. Most people after a breakup are still emotionally entangled, desperate, or bitter. You've become someone who's genuinely evolved. And this brings us to the most important psychological principle. Step number 4. Detach from the outcome completely. This is the paradox that makes all of this work. The moment you genuinely stop needing her to come back, the moment you reach a place where you'd be happy either way, is often the exact moment she feels the shift and reaches out.
Why?
Because authentic detachment is the opposite of neediness, and it's the only energy that allows attraction to resurface naturally. When you're attached to getting her back, every action is contaminated by that agenda. Even if you're doing no contact, she can sense the desperation beneath the surface. But when you've genuinely let go, when you've accepted that the relationship is over and you're building a fulfilling life anyway, something shifts energetically. You're no longer in her frame. You're in your own. And that shift in power dynamics often triggers her to reconsider because the psychological roles have reversed. You're no longer chasing. You're no longer available. You've become the one who got away. Let me be clear about what this doesn't mean. It doesn't mean playing games or pretending you don't care. It means actually arriving at a place of genuine acceptance and self-sufficiency. And here's the beautiful truth. Whether she comes back or not, you win. If she comes back and you've done the work, you have the opportunity to build a healthier relationship from a position of strength. If she doesn't come back, you've used this painful experience to become a better version of yourself who's ready for an even better relationship with someone else. Now, let's be honest about how hard this actually is. Everything I've described goes against your natural instincts. Your brain is designed to fight for connection, to fix problems, to seek closure. Going silent when you want to reach out feels excruciating. But here's what you need to understand. Those instincts served our ancestors in different contexts. In modern dating and relationships, following those instincts blindly often produces the opposite result of what you want. The men who successfully get their ex back and build healthy relationships the second time around are the ones who have the discipline and self-respect to do the counterintuitive thing. They embrace the discomfort. They sit with the uncertainty. They focus on their own growth instead of trying to control her decision. And in that process, they transform not just the relationship dynamic, but themselves. Think about the last time someone chased you desperately for anything, your attention, your approval, your business. Did it make you value them more or less? Now think about a time when someone you wanted became genuinely unavailable. Did it decrease your interest or amplify it? You already know the answer. And this leads to the final, most powerful insight. Here's what most relationship advice gets wrong. They focus on tactics to get your ex back, as if the relationship is a prize to be won through manipulation. But real, lasting reconnection doesn't come from manipulation. It comes from genuine transformation. When you do the work I've described, silence, self-focus, internal processing, and authentic detachment, you're not trying to trick her into coming back. You're becoming a version of yourself that's genuinely more attractive, more grounded, and more emotionally healthy. And if she comes back, it won't be because you use some clever strategy. It will be because you've become someone worth coming back to. That's the difference between getting your ex back and building a relationship that actually lasts. Most men just want the quick fix, the magic words, the perfect text message. They want to skip the hard work of genuine growth and jump straight to reconciliation. But reconciliation without transformation just recreates the same problems that led to the breakup in the first place. The men who do this right understand that the goal isn't just to get her back. The goal is to become the kind of man who attracts healthy, fulfilling relationships naturally. And often, that means letting go completely and trusting that if it's meant to be, it will happen from a place of genuine mutual desire, not desperate need. So, here's the ultimate truth about getting your ex back. She will come back, not because you followed some formula, but because you had the courage to let her go completely and focus on becoming the best version of yourself. And when she does reach out, you won't be the same desperate, needy person she left. You'll be someone who's grown, who's thriving, who has options and self-respect. That's when you have real power to decide, is this relationship actually what I want, or have I outgrown it? Because the greatest plot twist in breakup psychology is this. By the time you've done all the work to get her back, you might realize you don't actually need her anymore. And that realization is the most powerful position you could possibly be in. If this resonated with you, hit that like button. It helps other men who are going through breakups find this message when they need it most. And if you want more insights into relationship psychology, attraction dynamics, and understanding what actually makes relationships work, subscribe and turn on notifications. I break down the hidden psychology behind dating and relationships every week. Drop a comment below and let me know. Where are you in your breakup journey right now? Are you still in the desperate phase? Or have you started the work of genuine detachment and growth? I read every comment, and your stories help other men realize they're not alone in this. Remember, the path to getting her back starts with letting her go. And the path to attracting healthy love starts with becoming someone worth loving. Now go do the work. Your future self will thank you. I'll see you in the next one.